I was pleased as I think I should be for how we've been able to do it. It's not a massive budget. It's developed into being a reasonable one, but you're really kind of restricted by this. There's people that I would love to have got to play that are just unaffordable. That's the real killer ones like the pedal steel players. But I've got pedal steel on a couple of tracks and a bit of dobro here, there, and everywhere. So I guess it kind of could be called country rock with a Celtic-ish influence.
It's interesting because the blurb for it actually says that it's an eclectic mix of personal favourites and self-penned original songs. So it really is it an album that you feel has got something for everyone on it, a track which everyone can tune into?
I do think so. I actually really do think so. I've never thought about it that way. You've only just said that, but I've recorded two of what you may call massive covers. I've done a version of Wichita Lineman, which I always think anybody that does that is quite brave.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, absolutely. How it's one of those songs you don't imagine anybody covering because how do you better Glenn Campbell?
Well, yeah, you do it the way you do it. That's kind of the way I've approached everything that I've done. What I've recorded, I could go on a stage with a 3-piece, 4-piece, 5-piece, 8-piece and play the same songs. That's how I feel about what I've done. Whereas you'd make records before, and the pop record vein, you make it this thing. It's really hard to do live. Apart from the vocal element of it, the actual backings, all the full kitchen sink going on. People hear it, but it's nice to be able to play something that's more raw. It's got its root in what you're playing.
The album's called Golden Years, the first single is Golden Years. Why did you choose that one? Is that a song that means a lot to you?
It means quite a lot to me because there I could drag my youngest son into that one. He's a musician, and we pursued a career with him, my wife and I, for quite some time. And the music publishing front, songwriting, did an album with him, and he's a great writer. He's a great writer, the boy, but he was always giving me a bit of a needle, not a needle match. But he said, "Dad, that idea you got, why don't you finish it?" Same story. So I did because I originally wrote that on the mandolin, and I recorded it that way, and then I don't know, it just didn't simply work. The track wasn't sitting right for me. And it was in this project and I ditched it. I brought it to this project. I said to the guy that was working, Damon Sawyer, the drummer, I said, look, let's just do it again. Just do it together, which is what we did. So it's much more organic than anything I've been involved in for years and years and years, studio-wise. It's actually all been played. Everything's real. There's no synths anywhere, drum machines anywhere. It's all played.
You talked about Wichita Lineman and, obviously classic country. You obviously have a feel for so many different genres of music. Is country something that you particularly can associate with?
I always liked country music, but not what I call it cowboy hat country music, I'm sorry, but I never liked all that. I could get all the guitar side of it as a child. I'm talking about as a kid, when I started to get an interest in music, 11, 12, there was the Beatles and the things, all of that stuff. So country was, at that time, was a very different genre of music to what it is now, the scale. It covers many, many regions now. But there was always a good tune, and then Ray Charles. So, take these chains from my heart and set me free. That's country. That was country, and it still is. So that kind of thing with artists like that made me. It's the songs. It's always the songs for me, I think, and that playable music is always the song.